Hey MSU Venue, this is Young. In 2020, I heard a saying that got thrown around a bit amongst varying pastors, church, and ministry leaders, and it was the phrase, "Which voice is discipling you?" This was referring to the many voices that spoke into all of our lives as we remained largely at home during lockdowns and quarantines. And these voices included places like Fox News, CNN, social media influencers, different pastors, different ministers, friends, family, etc. And I found this phrase to be quite interesting and a helpful way to ask another question that is important for every individual, including myself, and especially those who identify as Christ followers, to consider. And that is this question. It's kind of like a subtweet, which is, what do you believe in and why do you believe in it? Between a raging worldwide pandemic to a turbulent political year, and of course with racial injustice landing front and center, many people I spoke to, and including myself, wondered, what do I believe in? And why do I believe in that in the first place? Our presumptions and the things that we thought we genuinely knew and believed in were really challenged and questioned in this past year. And 2020 definitely highlighted the reality of what kind of philosophical air was above us all. What we would call the postmodernist view, it definitely reared its head this last year. Or in other words, truth yet again seemed subjective and relative. And how one of our pastors at Riv would explain this, they would say that people are defined more by what they disagree with rather than what they believe in. In the book of 2 Timothy, in chapter 4, verse 3, the Apostle Paul, he pens this letter to his spiritual son, Timothy, and he writes this in chapter 4, verse 3 of 2 Timothy. He says, "For the time will come when people will not tolerate sound doctrine, but according to their own desires will multiply teachers for themselves because they have an itch to hear what they want to hear." Again, the Apostle Paul is instructing his spiritual son, Timothy, who was pastoring a church, on why Timothy should preach specifically the Word of God. Paul references this in the verse prior to verse 3. And when I read this, I think of that question, what do you believe in? Or better yet, what do you disagree with? Because I wonder, for many of us, myself included, how often we drift toward the voices that communicate similar sentiments of disliking something or disliking someone in our society. And it's so easy for us to say that we dislike something, right? I mean, how many times have we heard that babies don't need to learn how to say no when they feel something they dislike, or maybe if they're being forced to eat some baby food or whatever, they say no because it doesn't taste good. Or more relevant to our current times, how easy is it to disparage the one individual on the other side of the aisle than to engage in a conversation with them because you know exactly what you believe in and not just what you disagree with. For the Christ follower, the Apostle Paul here in 2 Timothy is quite clear that the place of our belief system, our worldview, what we believe in, should come directly from the Word of God. And it is the Word of God that defines not only what we believe in, but it gives us the reason why we should believe in it and why it's important for us to believe in it, or to know what we believe in. It's so that we are not swayed to different teachers and to the different voices that simply speak the things that scratch our ears. And so I want to encourage you, MSU Venue, to be anchored during this season and really for the rest of your life, to be anchored to the Word of God that will point us to the gospel and to Jesus Christ. And it's from those two places, from Christ and with the gospel, that I want to encourage us to engage with the different voices in the different spaces of our society and within our lives.